That's my first message. The second message is, how do we get all this knowledge? That was the best route, the best way. It is through the English language. No doubt about that. Sorry, I think today we have the graduates on masters in Bahasa Education, Bahasa Malaysia. Fine, I think we need you as well. Malaysia, we have Bahasa Malaysia, which is important, but we need also English language, which is internationally very important, competitively very important for us to survive and move forward. So even masters in Bahasa Malaysia, I think if you have added onto your thing, proficiency in English language, you'll find that you are ahead of other people. You have both. And once you have proficiency in English language, from there you can learn anything. You have access to anything, any subject. Unfortunately, in Malaysia, our standard of English language proficiency is down and down, going down and down. It's not getting better, it's getting worse, unfortunately. In the private sector where I am, we see this, unfortunately. We used to be, when we go international conference, we used to speak up on behalf of, of our colleagues from Indonesia or Thailand. They can't speak too well English, but we have the same points of view. They ask us to speak for them. Today, international conferences, they are the ones who speak up. I think many of our Malaysian people keep quiet. Sometimes they speak up, we also want them to keep quiet. They're shy to hear. They can't speak properly. So, this is getting that bad. Job interviews, this is now, interviews in private sector, I'm not talking about government service, private sector, looking for jobs. Graduates got to compete with graduates from private universities in Malaysia, many of them. Medium English, overseas graduates, how can you win? In my experience, you go to interview, you have these choices for the employer. You interview the employer, graduate, not proficient in English, you ask in English, reply in Malay, bahasa, macam mana? Can't express themselves. This is happening, unfortunate. %80 of the world's knowledge can be acquired through the English language, the best. Anything you want to know, anything you want to learn. That's why the proficiency in the language is so critical. Once you have the proficiency, you can learn anything. But without that, how do you have access to these subjects? How do you get into it? It's an international language, the language of business. You go to Mecca, Masjid al-Haram, there's a notice board inside the mosque, some instruction. Bahasa is not there. English is there. You go to China airports, the airport signs, English is there. So there's no argument about that. Unfortunately, we know the problem here in the education system. The leaders know the problem. They also know the solutions. But politically, they dare not do it because, you might lose votes. Sensitive subject. But it's hurting our young people. I think we have lost one generation of people, young people who are not proficient. And it's still going on. The system will not change. Every time the leader comes down and says, we want to reform. But nothing happens. What? We must do things then to supplement this thing. We have encouraged young people to improve proficiency, reading books, look at television, see the English programs, converse in English, all sorts of things that you can do to improve yourself, to improve the English language. The thing is, young people need to inspire them, to how to push these things so that they are inspired to learn. I'll give you one example. My when I was in school, we were not so good in English in the school. Methodist Boys School, Sentul, where I was. And we were nearing the Cambridge exams actually in 1 year to go. We had an American teacher, Yale Harvard. She does the English language, I think. So we write essays. So one of the essays that I wrote, he put down there, you write like Ernest Hemingway. That's all he did, nothing else. I was wondering, who is Ernest Hemingway? I don't know. But I went to the USIS library those days. Well, that's the only library we can go to, USIS. Read all the books by Ernest Hemingway. So he inspired me with this one sentence to know about Ernest Hemingway, to read all his novels. It improves my English. Until today, I'm grateful to him because he's the one that inspired me to pass my English test. Those days, you fail English, you fail the test, the whole exam. Go back 1 year. So that's how important the initiative to inspire the young people. And English language also, not just for access knowledge, but it's a beautiful language. The very famous novels and books, poetry, Shakespeare. Of course, during those days, in our English lesson, exam, we have to learn Shakespeare. Get tested only in the exam, But today, I'm not sure whether anybody bothers to read Shakespeare. Okay, that's the second message, English language.